Welcome to the December Dr. NAACLS. A part of me planned on getting a holiday hat, but you are seeing how committed I was to that idea when push came to shove. But happy holidays to everybody. Today's topic is NAACLS at CLEC. But before we get to that, a reminder that we are recording on December 7th. Did I get that date right? Yes, I did. December 7th. And the reason we timestamp these is because, especially when we get to the Q&A section, we may start talking about items of compliance and things of that nature. And those of you who are experienced program directors know that our compliance guide can change up to twice a year. So while this will be available in the future, we just want to remind everybody that if you're watching this 3 months, 6 months from now, and you have questions about standard compliance issues, please visit the most up-to-date documents on the website or call staff. Today's team, Candi, I will start with you if you would like to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Grayson. I am a director for a histotechnology and medical laboratory technology program at the Community College of Baltimore County in Baltimore, Maryland. And I am also a current member of RCAP.
Phenk you. And then Rita, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Rita Miller. I'm the program director for the Medical Lab Tech and Phlebotomy program at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Laverne, Minnesota. I'm also a member of the PART committee.
So those are our volunteers, our content experts. Jesse, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jessie Josso, and I am a program accreditation coordinator and a review liaison for the HT, HTL, PASA, CMS, and CG program. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Mark Spence. I work with PARC and DRC programs, as well as being the volunteer services manager. So the reason we are joined by Candi and Rita today is that they are the presenters for the upcoming workshop. So the workshops are always kind of the focal point of the NAACLS experience at CLEC, which we'll get into a little bit later, but since we are starting with the workshop, I will hand it over to Candi and Rita so they can kind of break down some of the details and the objectives and other items.
Sure. So our workshop is entitled Starting Off Strong Using Historical Data for an Easier Review Process. This will be, as mentioned, the kickoff to CLEC. We are participating in this as a hybrid workshop. Of course, we will be in person, but we'll be able to have that virtual option. Those that are physically attending will need to follow ASCLS vaccination requirements. And if you go to register for CLEC, you will see the statement that pops up and is generated by that. It is a separate registration, so please keep that in mind. You will need to register with NAACLS for the NAACLS workshop, and you'll need to register for CLEC with ASCLS. Next slide.
Yeah. One quick thing, we are expecting to get the NAACLS portion registration up next week, but that was the big point that I'm glad Candi addressed, because there's always some confusion that this registration is separate from the ASCLS.
So we do want this to be an interactive piece, so we will mention that a little bit later, but we do have intentions of what we are going to set forth. We do have some objectives, and those are to examine the overall accreditation approval processes leading up to a potential citation, relate the use of the NAACLS standards and compliance guide to the process. As previously mentioned, those compliance guides are changing often, and you always want to make sure that you're referring to the latest and the greatest, and we'll mention and discuss that in a little bit of a detail. Identify the most commonly recognized concerns on self-study reviews and site visit reports and most commonly cited standards. We have the resources of NAACLS staff to provide us that historical perspective. And we're going to go into what we see as a commonality from being self-study and site reviewers, but also from having that information from NAACLS themselves. and then identify ways to avoid citations by using that compliance guide and other resources. Both our intention of Rita and mine is to show you some examples of items that we found to be helpful, items that either how to address the actual standard itself or how to keep you on track so that you can then provide the information needed to address that standard. We do have a good amount of reviews. I've done at least 10 years of self-study and site visits, so I've seen the changes that happen and I've seen the good and the bad. And I know Rita is shaking her head because she's right there with me.
Yeah.
I'll let her join in a second. But we do intend to share some of the things we've noticed over those years and some of those good examples, and provide you with those good examples and samples to be able to take back and modify to yours. That is one of the biggest strengths as we look at these self-studies and site visits, is we start to see a commonality of how to address something, but also some good tidbit to take back. Rita, did you want to add?
I think, again, when we're doing these visits, you have to remember it is a peer review and we're there to help you. And so we really are going to emphasize, like Candi said, a lot of what the standards that we do see a problem with. And so I just hope I think it'll be very beneficial. I know it'll be great, especially if you are the first time you're going to do this accreditation. It'll be very valuable. And even if you are doing it again, because the standards do change.
So within that goal of our workshop, there are some other items that we want to highlight. As we stated, we are going to discuss some of the historical data, so lessons from that data collected over the last 3 years of both the self-study reviews and the site visits, how to avoid those mistakes from the get-go. Keep in mind, as a self-study reviewer and a site visit, we know the content, but we don't know your program. So you want to make sure when you're stressing these items that you're addressing them to someone who has no knowledge of your program. So we'll highlight some of those discussions and some of those ways to address that piece. Organizing materials for ease of access to reviewers, again, has to do with that fact we don't know where this stuff is. So how you can identify your attachments, how to do that piece, and how to make sure that it is clear to an outside observer what is happening in your institution. Remember, we always know you want to highlight how awesome your program is, but we just need to be able to see that. We are planning on having some focus on an in-depth discussion on both Standard 2, which has all to do with the benchmarks and the outcomes, as well as Standard 4, which has to do with being able to provide documents both to current and to prospective students. We already know that these are two areas that are highlighted often as having difficulties addressing those. And we want to discuss those in further detail, what NAACLS self-study or site visitors looking for and ways to address those. As I said, we want to provide some of those examples. And then again, discussing about program outcomes and the NAACLS documents to help you address some of these areas. Rita?
No, nothing to add. That was great. Yeah, I think maybe I do have something to add after all. Yeah, it's just, I think a lot of you, as you know, probably do what we're looking for, but you're either not explaining it or we can't find it. And that's a lot of times we just can't find it. And so we're gonna explain what we are looking for and how you can write it so we know what you're looking for, what documents you need to pin in the self-study, that type of thing. So we'll help you out with that, because yeah, 2 is kind of a little bugger. So we'll definitely help you with that.
And we want to delve into, presenting your meeting minutes of like advisory board or faculty to highlight being able to discuss some of those outcomes and those assessment pieces that show that you've not only collected the data, but you evaluated and analyzed the data and you had those conversations. So we want to highlight those areas within Standard 2 and Standard 4, and then just also provide those examples. So you want to make sure to attend so that we can share this information with you. In helping us, we do have our own, as I said, set of ideas of what we are looking for, but we want to hear from you as well. We do want to make this a session that addresses some of your questions and concerns. And in having said that, my screen just went weird. I apologize.
That's me.
Oh, in having said that, we are opening it up and asking if you would like to provide some questions, maybe some concerns, maybe a piece of a standard that's not clear and you'd like us to address. We're hoping to hear from you now so that we can prepare and make sure that we address this in a way to assist you for attending this conference. So that's why we're asking, and I see that Mark has dropped that link into the chat box. So whatever standards or part of the process you'd like to know more about, we're hoping that to help us prepare for our workshop, that you respond to that survey and just drop us a line and let us know what it is you're looking for and what we can definitely make sure we hit to make it beneficial for you.
Yeah, and if you can't think of anything right now, staff will be making this link available when we put the video of this Dr. NAACLS session on the NAACLS News, and that link will be easily accessible there. So if you can't think of anything now, if you're trying to figure out how you're going to save this link, you don't have to worry about that right now. We can make sure to provide it to you at a later time. Okay, I can take it over from now. Thank you, Candi and Rita. So over the past few years, it's been a goal of NAACLS just to provide a little more access to our volunteers and staff at the CLEC conferences. So obviously we'll be doing the NAACLS update again. We do this every year with the board president. We just had a change of leadership. So Dr. Mary Beth Laws is the current NAACLS president. She will be presenting updates to policies and other items that she thinks are important to highlight for all the program directors that will be in attendance. We'll also be doing a coffee with NAACLS, which we did for the first time last year in a virtual setting. That coffee with NAACLS last year was very similar to our Dr. NAACLS. We want to change the format a little bit and make it a little more casual. We will be bringing together some NAACLS volunteers, NAACLS staff, and it's really just an opportunity to have one-on-one interactions with volunteers and staff, asking questions about NAACLS policies, standards, procedures, things of that nature. This will not be a hybrid event. This will just be an in-person only event. It's a really kind of just a pop in and pop out at your leisure. The ASCLS is still finalizing the schedule. I believe that generally the ASCLS days start at 8 a.m. So I believe Coffee with NAACLS will be 7 to 8 a.m. Tuesday morning. So whenever you're on your way down to the main session, just come in and say hi. NAACLS booth. Jesse, did you want to say anything? You've done a few booths now, or maybe just one in Orlando last year. Did you want to say anything about the NAACLS booth? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I didn't want to shut you out.
No, you're not shutting me out at all. You're doing a great job. The NAACLS booth is a lot of fun. We're a lot of fun. Please come by and say hi if you have any questions or concerns or anything you want to bring up to us. We're here to help as always. Okay.
Yeah, she nailed it. If you don't want to wake up early for the coffee with NAACLS, we'll make sure that staff and some volunteers are available at the booth when the general sessions are done and there's booth time. Also, we're looking at ways to make the booth hybrid. I think we haven't made any final decisions, but we're leaning towards a format where we have essentially kind of appointments available. So if you want to get in and you have a question, for staff or one of our content expert volunteers and you weren't able to get that question answered at Coffee with NAACLS because you weren't there, or if you were at the NAACLS meeting or the update and you just didn't have the opportunity to ask your question, we still want to make those opportunities available to that. So I would keep an eye on the NAACLS news in January or maybe February when we have more details about the virtual options for the booth. That's about it for our workshop overview in general, just NAACLS at CLEC kind of intro. So we're going to go to the general Q&A. Before we do, a plug for our DLPs. DLP stands for Discipline Lead People or Person. So these are volunteers, committee members who are there to help with standard interpretation. So if you have a question about what a standard may mean or what potentially a reviewer may be looking for in a standard, these would be the people to approach. NAACLS staff expertise is mostly in policy and procedure. We can give you a historical context to commonly discussed items in committee meetings, but the people you see here are our main go-to for content experts. A bit of an asterisk on this is that while they are here to assist you with standard interpretation, they are not necessarily here to advise or consult for like a whole application packet or a progress report. This is not a situation where like, hey, can you take a look at this progress report and see if it looks okay? Mostly because they are members of the committee. Decisions when it comes to approving a progress report and things of that nature, the whole committee weighs in on it before making recommendations to the board of directors. So kind of want to avoid a conflict of interest or putting them in an awkward situation. And also they are volunteers. So just passing them along a self-study for a quick once over may not fit into the time they have available. Believe me, they thankfully give enough time the way it is. So, but if you do have a specific question about, hey, standard 2C, what am I looking for with this? What's the difference between a prospective student and a current student? Like questions like that, I would really urge you to reach out and touch base with them. Their email addresses are on the program directors page of the website. So now we have time for some general Q&A for today's call. It doesn't have to be about the workshop. It doesn't have to be about CLEC. It could be about anything NAACLS related. You can drop it in the Q&A chat box. You can raise your hand and we can do it live and over Zoom, whichever you would prefer. Now the awkward waiting.
Anyone?
Or is everybody just ready for break? While we are waiting, I am seeing some names of some volunteers. So can't say it enough. Thank you to our volunteers, not only Candi and Rita, committee members here, but I do see names of attendees that are also committee members, former board members, self-study reviewers, site visitors. So thank you all for volunteering. We're a volunteer-driven organization. We have a very small staff, so we depend on content expert volunteers. If anybody's interested in volunteering, we have a Dr. NAACLS about that I think we did last month, if not 2 months ago. Check the NAACLS news, reach out to anybody on staff and we can assist you with that. And we have a sign up on the volunteer section of our website. But yes, thank you to everybody who has volunteered or is currently volunteering. I'm not seeing questions. So unless we have one pop up soon, I will maybe end this call. Candi or Rita? Oh, we have one question coming through Q&A. Do you have a guide for new program directors? I'm looking at retiring. We have some materials we send out to new approved program directors when they finalize the process. As far as a lot of documents tailored for just new program directors, nothing specifically except for a few things here and there. Before I go into my spiel, Candi or Rita, do you have recommendations for materials that would be useful to new program directors?
So I'm sure you're going to mention these items, so I apologize if I step on your thunder. But when you are approved as a new program director, NAACLS does assign you a mentor. And that is very useful because that is someone who is, again, a volunteer, but someone who's seasoned, and you go through a listing of discussions about the standards, but then also you have an available resource that is assigned to you. And then of course, there's always wanting to go to the workshops, but as a new program director, I would always, and you're looking to pass it down, I would start making sure that you have those kind of documents visible, and you're passing them along to the next person and I don't know what Mark was going to say. I apologize. This might be off topic, but as someone who's recently done a couple of site visits where there was a change in program director during some of this time, you can definitely see where the previous program director had information and then the next one didn't have it, and there was no transition. So making sure that you're keeping that program in the forefront and making things accessible, just starting to write down what it is you do, making a calendar of like, this month I do these surveys, or this month I collect this data, or this is when I respond to the NAACLS annual survey or something. You in a way need to start writing those down just in case something happens to you, regardless of retiring, but it's also nice to have it for the next person.
Jesse, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Jesse handles all of our facilitating the reviews for new program directors to our reviewers. Process-wise, Jesse, do you have any recommendations about when they should start the process of getting their paperwork in, things of that nature?
Sure, I was just letting everyone speak before I go into my little spiel here. I do recommend that you reach out to us at least 30 days prior to your departure. I would like to provide you the program official approval form. Within this form, there's a checklist that the new applicant needs to review and make sure that they have and that they satisfy the requirements that are needed. It gives a lot of information, and if you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available over the phone or via email. Where you find the discipline lead person's email, you'll also see my name next to it for HT, HTL, PASS, CG, or DMS. My email is jjosso@nacls.org, and I'll also put it in the chat box. Feel free to reach out, and then we can discuss a little bit further, okay?
That covered everything I would mention. So we can transition now to Gloria Preza. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name. I'm going to allow you to talk, and then you will have to unmute, Gloria. There you go.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, yeah, so my question, you kind of covered it, Jesse covered it, but I wanted to actually ask whether when you are, so right now I'm under acting program director because my the previous director retired last year. And I'm aware that I have a year to submit my for full director, right? And is that when we get the mentor, or should I have it now that I'm acting program director? So I just wanted to clarify that.
So usually, Gloria, if there's a program, if there is a mentor available for you, then it is provided. I would have to look at your case specifically. I will look at your approval letter because usually the mentor is inside that approval letter. And for some reason, someone did not reach out to you. I would be willing, obviously, to find you a new one with no problems whatsoever. But yes, definitely submit your application again to us before your year is up. If you are planning on becoming permanent program director, and if you meet the requirements, of course. And if not, reach out to me because NAACLS always has avenues and we're more than willing to discuss it. But I will follow up with you via email later today.
Okay, great. Yeah, the only thing I'm waiting for is on my appointment letter from the school. They haven't provided that. So once I get that, then I'll be able to submit complete the package.
Okay, no problem. I know that we've emailed many times, so we'll
Yes.
discuss further, okay?
All right. Thank you, Jessie.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Other questions? Seeing none. Okay, I'll go ahead and wrap this call up. Thank you for everybody who attended. Our next Dr. NAACLS, we are still scheduling. I think it will be probably in the latter half of January. It will be about innovation in the standards. So a lot of talk about, Bobby Roberts, I'm sorry I missed how to register for the NAACLS workshop at CLEC. So it will be, there's a separate registration for the workshop. It's not part of the CLEC registration. So that is not up and live yet. I expect it to be next week. As soon as it's ready to go, it will be on the NAACLS news. So there will be access on our homepage, of course. But as far as if you want immediate notification about anything NAACLS related, it will be on the NAACLS news. So I would keep an eye out for that next week. So yeah, the next one will be about innovation in the standards. I'm still nailing down some content excerpts for that and dates for that, but I expect that to be in late January, so we can all return from a well-earned break and catch up on all the emails and work we missed. So we'll let the dust settle a little bit before before doing another one of these calls. So I hope everybody has a safe and relaxing holidays. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.